doing a whole thing, a basis.
Yeah.
But right, Thomas.
Yeah.
I'm drinking a basis project mug, which means that you are doing a basis project presentation type thing.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us all about it and take it away, Thomas Mikey Jensen.
Yeah. Let's talk about Mars. Let's talk about conspiracies. Let's talk about reality. I've been doing. Can I start with just giving a little presentation of myself before we
The
go on?
show's yours.
Yeah.
Take it away, Thomas.
I have been living in the shadow of other people for a little while, and that's how I become what I am and who I am. And it sounds dramatically, it's not. I am the man behind Forbidden Knowledge TV. I am the man who built up Billy Carson's TV channel for him.
Now, just to be clear, that's for the number Forbidden Knowledge TV,
Exactly,
and not the original, which was forbidden by, I think, Alexander Bruce. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think there's Chris Matthew who also got a Forbidden News, I think. That's another thing. But anyway, yeah, I did that for him, and I am also, as you know, the man behind your TV channel. I'm building it up, and now I got a third one that I'm working with also, and that's Paola Harris, UFO investigator.
So that's basistv.com
Yes.
and basistv.org.
Yeah.
And I am immeasurably appreciative of that. And no, this is really serious. You've managed to get this thing going after the complete crash of bases after being deplatformed.
We got
2 weeks after Kerry Cassidy was deplatformed.
Yeah.
So it's really important that that site's there and people can find so much of the basis material.
We have secured it, and we can invite others to secure their content with Basis TV as well.
So let's go.
Let's go.
And also Paola Harris.
Paola Harris, yeah. Right now,
crucially, I think there were some discussions that she was going to have her material shared via Basis TV, just making it very clear that you've got a completely separate site for her now. And while we're talking about her, do you want to tell us all about it?
Yeah, Paola has wished to create her own channel, just like you did, and just like Billy did, and with the with you and Billy on my CV, it was easy for her to choose. So we started with Paola, and we are uploading a lot of videos. We have done all the graphics and the channel itself now, and we are still uploading. And this is amazing because Paola have done research for 50 years, UFO research. And she has an insane amount of data stored on DVDs and USB external hard disk. Already now, let's just have a quick look. What I have to go through here, let's see, there's like 8 DVDs in each one here, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them with 8 DVDs in with conferences from the Laughing UFO conferences.
Yes,
she's
been running an awful lot of conferences at Laughlin.
Yes. And
also where the UFO Congress were operating from then. Yeah.
And we are digitalizing it all now on her new streaming channel, paolaharris.vhx.tv, because that is a lot of content, and I got work for a long time now. So that's a little bit about what I do, but besides that, I've been doing Mars research and anomaly research since 2011. And I remember one of the first thing I started doing research with in depth was the Baltic Sea anomaly. And I went to Sweden 2 times to meet the team and talk to the team and see what they had and hear what they had to say. So that was quite amazing. But that was my first UFO driven research out of the country where I lived in. So that was a really an amazing try to come and visit Ocean X team in Sweden too. So I've been a little bit around also, and I started the Mars research in about 2013 when somebody sent me the link to one of the Mars satellites. I said, have a look at this. Is that something you're interested in? And I had a look, and I found that was the Mars Global Surveyor with the Mars Orbiter camera on board. And I had a look at a few of them, and I was like, first time I had downloaded a satellite image, and I could sit and enlarge it and actually see the rocks on the surface almost in detail. I was sold, and I haven't stopped ever since, and I'm still doing it, and I've done it today before I've talked to you here, been looking at Mars images to find anomalies like the one you can see right behind me. This was from 2014. I found that one, and there's a funny story to it, but we can start with the size of it. From here and up to here, let's see, here about here, this piece here is about 150 meters long, which is about 490 feet. So it's not a tiny little object that we are looking at, and it's not a coincidence with those size dimensions. Absolutely not. And I have had many theories on what it could be. And before I start talk about theories, I would say I don't know what it is, but I know I found it, and I know it went ballistic when I found it.
Well, in simple terms, in simple terms, what is it that it isn't?
Yeah. What is it that it isn't? It ain't a cake factory, that's for sure. And they don't do umbrellas there either, just my way of being funny or sarcastic. What is it? I've heard about theories from everything from underground entrance for ships and crafts to the outside of a base that has been sealed off with no roof on, which basically explains why it would be looking like it's open from above. There's been many theories of it, and it is what it is, a theory that people produce. We can't know exactly what it is or exactly who made it, but we know one thing. The only thing we know that's 100% for sure, it is that it is there, and we can see it.
And it's not a trick of light and shadow, and it's not
This one I've got in
weathered
four.
rock, which happens to be an anomaly that looks like something that's man-made.
This one I have in 4 other satellite images as well, and those that were following basis summer seminar saw them images I have with me there. There were the other images also we had.
And just while we're talking about, you did do a major presentation at this summer Basis 2024, and that's in the Basis 2024 summer seminars. Okay.
Yeah, that was amazing to be there and do that presentations, and I'm looking forward to do the next one here on the 14th
of December 2024
in Pusey Brewery Hall. So that I'm really looking forward to. But there's a little change in what we're going to talk about this time, because last time I talked purely about the anomalies found on the satellite images. Next time I'll go a little bit behind the scene of what have happened and the things that has relations to Mars that have happened in my life and the people I have met. Many people have heard of the Mars Jumprooms. Many people have heard of Project Pegasus. And
well, only those people who but just stop you there. Only people who are tuned into the secret space program or the jump gates that some people have talked to on basis type forums and space stuff. But for people who are astrocartographers or astro archaeologists, could you explain to those people, let's call them normal people, and I've just had a dropout of a recorder again.
In quick
explain
terms, You had the Mars Jumprooms was in theory basically shortened down to a teleportation room that could take you from a location on this planet Earth. In this case, it was an office in Pasadena. Where they had this technology to one specific place on Mars. It wasn't like, for what I know, that they could switch around different places or locations. Not what I know of. There might be a variety, but I'm not aware of it. You got Project Pegasus, which was more like a traveling back in time. Projection back in time, which we also have heard from Andrew D. Basiaco, which also had part in the Mars Jumproom. But all these projects.
But just to sort of to clarify for people to understand what a jump room is, you go into a small room and then you dial something and then bingo, you're on Mars. And walk out when you're on Mars.
In this case, and this has been described by many that has been in the program, not just one or two, but we have at least 4, 5, 6 people explaining the same thing. They went into this case in an elevator lift. And when the door, it moved, I don't know if it moved up and down, but I know that when the door opened again, they stepped directly out on the Martian sand and was on the surface of Mars, which in the beginning to me sounded like a perfect bedtime story. You know, I was like, yeah, right, true, of
But
course.
is there no atmosphere there, and you starve to death?
There should be atmosphere, according to those that have been in the projects Mars Jumproom. There is atmosphere on Mars. There's not.
In other words, sufficient oxygen and nitrogen to breathe.
There's not the same amount of air as there is on Earth, so you wouldn't be able to do the same physical activities, but you ain't got the same gravity either. So I think it's about leveling itself out a little bit. But I haven't been on Mars, so I don't know. And
But from your perspective, this is serious enough to include in the kind of work that you're explaining.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's very serious. And I've met the people. I'm not just talking about somebody I've seen a video with on YouTube. I've met the people. I've talked to them. I've interviewed them. I've met Andrew Basiaco, also had him on private, him and me in a hotel in Mobile, Alabama. We had a long conversation about the Mars Jumproom, and he also explained a few things about his visit to the Dulce base with his father. Back in the time when he was a small boy, where he visited the Dulce base. His father, Raymond, was working for the CIA, and he was working. His father, Raymond, was in the CIA and was working on various projects where he involved Andrew in already from a little child of. I'm not sure if you did that today, if that would be have seen with with positive eyes, but that was how Andrew got into these projects and was involved with them. He has described the jump room, as I said, to me personal many times, and the things he went through. The same had William Whitecrow, or his birth name was Bill Parris. And Bill Parris had a little bit of a different perspective on it, because Bill Parris worked not with the Mars Jumproom, but Bill Parris was a CIA security guard that was protecting civilian at work. That means corporations, basically representative of corporations that was on Mars, that was not military personnel. And that was William's job. But the thing is that William described that there were other ways to get to Mars. We couldn't all enter through the jump room. Some of us came other ways. And he described how he came into a hangar in a base, in an American Air Force base, and basically inside that hangar stood something like taken out of Independence Day, that was for them to access to take them to Mars in. And first time he talked about it, I was like, yeah, right, bro, stop smoking, you know. But the more he got into it, the more he caught my attention. And one thing was for sure, he would never add anything to his stories. And he kept telling me from day one that he had a final evidence he would show one day. One fine day, I will show the final evidence of all his claims of these craft existing, back engineered craft that was existing, that the CIA used to take their troops and personnel to Mars and back again on their investments missions back in the 80s that we in the public never has been told about. So when we hear about the Mars missions with Elon Musk and Mars One and all that, we are so excited, but we have already been there. We've already done it. We just don't know about it. And I think one of the reasons for us not knowing about it is all the things that went wrong when you're doing a pioneering project. You know what I mean?
Explain that exactly. Sorry, I've had a major failure of a hard drive here. So.
Many things can go wrong. For example, many of those that was participants in the Jumproom projects described that there were other species on Mars, not just us humans. There were other species, and some of them would see the human species as pure food, nothing else.
Now, what are those witnesses saying?
They are saying that they saw something like out of a dinosaur movie that pretty much was reptile predators also on the surface. And some of them could fly, and some of them were like reptile creatures that basically would eat you for a snack. So the surface
when is that data going back to?
That's going back to, that's from the 80s, that data is coming from. That's coming from William Whitecrow and Andrew D. Bashaku, or William Stillings and Bernard Mendes. That has been said, they are the four main names that has been talking about these projects, secret projects, and try to get some light on them. I've met with Andrew, as I said before. I've met with William, as I said before.
I mean, from the point of view, this is, I'm going to draw attention to this book. There's an awful lot about the different way that NASA are saying one thing and being very interested in something which they're not interested in. But crucially, what we're told with the first Viking pictures on Mars, it had a blue sky, which means nitrogen, and that was published on the front page, the cover of New Scientist magazine in 1977, I think. And then, of course, we can't have a blue sky on Mars because that means nitrogen. It means life.
Yeah, exactly. And Hubble telescope did the same in 98. Took a picture of Mars that shows us a blue atmosphere and a partial blue surface.
So, I mean, we're talking about things here in the established domain.
Yeah. It's not hard for me to believe in life on Mars, and why should we be the only one in this universe? And those that claim that they have been on Mars are all talking the same. You don't hear them saying different stories. You don't hear them add anything to their stories. They have told everything they know. It's up to us to listen and believe, because there is so much more to it than we know. William Whitecrow, the CIA security guard, he was a friend of mine, and I spoke a lot with William. He had told me so incredibly much and taught me a lot that I have taken with me. But one of the things he kept saying from day one I met him was, I have the final evidence and I'm going to show it one day. And after I've been talking to him for a good year or two, he said, if I gonna give that evidence out, I'm gonna give it to you. And I was like, okay. I was thinking cool. He would give something to me that would prove he was right. What could it be? Was it a photograph? Was it a file? Was it a letter with a signature on? I had no idea what it could be. Was this a piece of missile from a UFO? No idea. And he kept talking about that evidence without revealing what it was, that one day he would give it, and I would understand what he had been saying when I saw that. After 3 years, I think, 3 years, yeah, he finally came to me and said, I'm ready now, because I've been poking him for 3 years and say, what about that evidence? Are we going to get it soon? Or are you just talking about it? What's going on with that evidence? Because I would like to see it soon, because we've been talking too long time about it and not seeing it. So he contacted me back and said he was ready. He felt he was ready now to show his evidence. And I got this on text, and I can show that to you also, from my Skype conversation with him. He wrote to me, I've decided to take the next 2 months off. I have canceled all interviews except yours. When I have done your interview and I've given you he said evidence, not file, evidence, then I will go to he had a house in the woods in a desolated place, to his little place there, and he would stay there for 2 months. And I was like, wow, I thought that was a little bit weird, maybe overdoing, because I didn't knew what that evidence was he had. So I was said, okay, cool. I'm really honored that you want to show it to me, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. And I got that on the Skype conversation also, and I've kept it so I can show people if they don't believe me. But we agreed on a time and a day, and that was a few days later. And those that has been following the story of William Whitecrow and me, or Andrew Besharko, will know that William got murdered, shot with a shotgun a few hours before he was to go on an interview with me, as the last interview, where he wanted to reveal the final evidence that would prove that everything he have said about the back-engineered craft, the way they traveled to Mars, the Mars Jumproom, that would be a clear evidence he would have delivered. He was killed a few hours before, and nobody believed it.
As a general rule, people, anybody out there, you don't tell people you have information. You just bloody publish it. Make sure it's out there, and it's too late then. Yeah. If you keep saying, this happened with the Rendlesham Forest film that Gary Heseltine was talked about. He boasted on stage in Glastonbury, he's got this and he's got that. It never happened.
Here's the thing that William said to me multiple times. When I asked him the first time, so that evidence, can you give it out? And he said, no, it's not the right time now. And at one time, he didn't mention that he was afraid and he would fear for his life and for his family if he took the wrong step, because he had information. Remember, he was a CIA security guard. He knew a lot of stuff that they didn't want to come out. And here's the thing, I didn't know what he wanted to show me, but I know he has been talking about this for years, and this was his, you call it, high.
They did the same with Tompkins. Tompkins, I think it was Tompkins. He started getting cocky on stage. You don't do that. No. When you've got the things published, I mean, even with Peter Paget, he
was like that. The only person he has said that to was to me. He didn't go out in public and say, I got this thing and I got this evidence. He didn't say that. He said it to me personally. He wanted to arrange it with me, so it got presented by him together with me. He didn't go out and say to people, oh, I have this, but you can't see it, or I'm going to get killed. He said that to me, not to the public. So everything he said about this evidence was to me. You see what I mean? Not going out showing off.
Well, does that not put you in danger?
Huh?
Is it too late now or what?
Say that again.
Does it not put you in danger?
I have had that thought many times. The same evening he was killed, my computer completely crashed down. And there's a story to that as well, because I thought there was something wrong with my computer. And
Well, to be perfectly honest, in this before we just started this, I've just found that that Miriam Jans has had a serious car accident in Holland, and they've written off her car. So that's everything. I'm still working that thing. So I mean, we are under attack. I had a week's load of attacks here, and so there is. We are under active war here, and so we need to recognize that.
We do, and we
People
are
being bumped off
in all kinds of ways. Yeah.
Okay, continue. We'll get on with this. Basis 151 with Thomas Mikey Jensen on Mars.
Whitecrow and on Mars and CIA. Here's the thing about William that I would like to get into also, but I'm saving some of it for the conference, so I ain't gonna give out the details. If you want to hear more about the murder on William Whitecrow, you can come to the...
Well, Thomas, the conference is only a few days away, like a couple of weeks, and from the perspective of what we're saying now, that may not actually... So just tell us anyway, because,
Yeah. I just got blanked.
We just don't have to release this until after December the 14th. I mean, we're only 2 weeks away.
Yeah, but I was
it's up to
talking about
you.
William Whitecrow and the way he died, because the police wrote that he was a suicide, and everybody that know William, including the family that came home and found him, said he was not a suicide. He just bought a brand new laptop the day before because he wanted to show me this thing and have this Skype conversation with me from a clean computer. He bought a new laptop that he couldn't afford, but he was so excited of doing what he was doing. The other thing that fell in was that he had horses. And when the family came home, they found all the horses let out of the fields and all the gates open. So the first thing they did was getting all the horses back in. They were wondering, where's Bill? What's he doing? What the fuck's going on here? So got all the horses back in and spent time on that and came into the house and found him shot in the face with a shotgun. That's what
I think that's
read up on.
Straight in, bang.
Yeah. There's nothing there. There haven't been a conversation, not even a conversation. They just went straight in, took him out, bang, out again. On the way out, they let the horses out to delay the family from getting in when they come back home and to create chaos. So they had extra time to get away. That's pretty clear. Everybody can see that, but the death, what do you call it, paper documents, says he was a suicide.
Was any of the information he had there taken as well, or what?
I don't know. I have no idea, because whatever happened after that, I have no knowledge on. I have had a very little. I have contact with his wife, and I also had contact with his son. Very little contact afterwards, and but I have never got into the details from any one of them about what was going on. And I did not want to involve his wife in surfing around on his computer for something she don't know what is, or his son for that matter, thinking of what happened to William. Let's not get another one involved, you know what I mean? So I have never gotten any data back since that at all. The only data I have had, and I'm not going to reveal the source, but I have read a report made by the CIA stating that it was a suicide. And that's it.
So we're talking about a suicide holding a shotgun in front of you, and
just answer one question: why is CIA making statements about a guy that has committed suicide in the
That's a good point.
All right, yeah, that's.
It's like a certain airplane with things flying around it, formerly a Malaysian Airlines plane, and there was a fighter tracking it, getting good pictures. Why were they tracking it, getting the good pictures if they didn't know that was happening? And it's a bit sort of,
exactly.
When you got very good pictures of something, well, why do you have it? Did you have a plane flying, a jet flying after them in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
So you could get the good pictures.
So you just gotta create your own little overview of the case. And besides that, all the things he told me about secret projects and what he has participated in was amazing. And I believe 100% that some of that knowledge that he was taking out for giving away to other people, and they wanted to stop him. They couldn't give a shit about, sorry, they couldn't give a damn about, he walked around and talked about being part of the Mars Jumproom in the 80s. They didn't care about that. What they care about was the evidence he had that could actually prove what he has been talking about earlier.
Well, exactly.
If you ain't got any evidence,
I mean, James Rink, Max Spears, Julie Phelps,
yeah,
those sort of people been talking about the jump rooms, you know, for the last, you know, they've been talking about the jump room for so long that the jump room details have changed because they've updated it, but it's the same jump room anyway.
Okay, funny you mentioned James Rink also, because I met him the day after I met Bicharco, or the day before I met Andrew Di Bicharco, and I had some conversation with James Rink, and Laura Eisenhower was there as well also, and a few other interesting people was there. But it was pretty. That was what you call it, an informative week in Mobile, Alabama. Look at my Facebook profile. You can even see I got a picture of me on my cover picture with no less than Ken Johnston, my good friend Ken Johnston, that was the officer in charge of the photos coming down back from Apollo 11 back then. Yeah. Do you remember the story about the Ken Johnston Apollo archive?
No.
No.
And even if I did, I would ask you to say it. So in the event that I somehow have forgotten what you talked about, that you could remind the audience what it is.
Yeah, but the Ken Johnston archive. Ken was working at the Johnston Airspace base. I can't even talk anymore. It's late here in Denmark. He was in charge of the photo department for the Apollo 11 back then. And that means that all pictures or photos came through him. One of the things he explained was that one day he was looking through some of these photos and he basically saw a base in a crater. And remember, Ken was an officer in there. He wasn't just anybody. He was a respected officer with clearance to basically everything. And he saw that base and so, whoa, and tomorrow we got this briefing. I'm going to take this picture with me to this briefing. But he had to handle the pictures back. He couldn't take them with him out of the room. So he had to handle the pictures back and then have them back again the next day. So he wrote down the ID number down and delivered the pictures back. And next day he came back to get the pictures to go into his presentation, and he went into the presentations and he had the same pictures just without a basin, just sand field all over. And he stood there and was about to give this presentation, and there was nothing on the dais that you could show them. So overnight they removed whatever he saw in them pictures. And Ken worked, Donna Hara worked also for Ken at that time. If you remember Donna Hara, she was the one that publicly stood out and said, yeah, I was sitting and removing what looks like UFOs and stuff that they did not want the public to see on the images. But the story about Ken Johnston was that back in the 60s, they didn't have digital archive. They had normal pictures, and they were being copied down to some big catalogs, paperbacks, what you call them, Apollo catalogs, in five catalogs. That were the 5 catalogs universities could request to have sent to them so they could study them if needed be. So that was the old pictures, but they were the original pictures.
Right.
Non-fake, non-touch, untouched. Then in the late 70s, NASA went through this process of wanting to digitalize all the Apollo images.
Yeah.
And
In other words, digitally enhance the pictures.
And after they did all that, they said to Ken Johnston, thank you for all your hard work. It has been great. You can now destroy all 5 catalogs from the Apollo 11 that we used to borrow
Well,
out.
they certainly would like to get rid of the original evidence.
So Ken took 4 of them and flew out, took the 5th one, put it up on his ceiling in his house and kept it for 40 years. And that's what is out now, because in Ken's archive, there are things that ain't in the digital version. And if you start looking through that, and it is a treasure trove, just wait till the public really find out what's in it. I have been in it briefly and looked, and it took me less than 2 minutes to find the first picture where there were 3 lights in the background, but in the digitalized version, there are not 3 lights in the background. And they have the same ID number. And that is what you see all the way through the digital archive, or what you not see.
In other words, it's not worth the paper it's not printed on.
No. So the digital archive is just as what do you call it, manipulated as the analog was with the old pictures. That was, as Donna Hara explained, she said, and moved them out before they put them into the catalog. But there were still things in the originals that hadn't been spotted or hadn't been seen. So there were whoops. I remember one of them was because the same happened with Mars. When they digitalized it from day one. But even though you digitalize for day one, you still make some whoops, errors and mistakes sometimes. And that is what we see on the M18005558 anomaly. That's basically show that 148 meter actually is just as wide as this one here. 488 feet wide UFO-shaped object. And I say UFO-shaped, I don't think it's a UFO. I think it's a building on the surface, but it is huge. And I have compared it also to a round house that I found here on Earth that looks a little bit like it. And the one I have a picture of on Earth can be inside the Martian one like 6-7 times. It's amazing. So you have to understand the size of it also that we're looking at. But anyway, we were talking about the digitalized versions of Apollo and Mars. And I am, as you know, also the founder of Astro Archaeology Research Society. For me,
explain all about that.
Astro Archaeology Research Society is a worldwide organization where we can meet on social media and discuss some matters within the field of astroarchaeology. For me, astroarchaeology is about doing research on satellite images from space, not necessarily Mars. That can be the moon, Venus, whatever. That can be a video feed from STS missions or ISS mission, and now it's not STS, it's SpaceX missions now. That's how old we are now. It's called SpaceX now. And that is astroarchaeology, when you are doing actual research on the material and the data you can get back from space, which basically means for satellite images that I'm scrutinizing them to find anomalies like this one here behind me that are huge and undeniable. And I did start with Curiosity, Opportunity, Rover, Spirit, and I had to step back from Curiosity, Rover, and all the Rover images. And the reason for that is solely that there are so many people who find it interesting to study the Curiosity rover, that the amount that comes out on social media is huge. And
But is it showing anything?
Yeah, but the thing is, there's no flow in it. People are claiming to see small Martians with a little head and a stick in their hands, and basically, when you read that, you're thinking, "What? Come on, for fuck's
In other
sake!"
words, they're overloading with data, and it's just time wasting.
It's over-analyzed by people that basically have no clue what they're doing. If you ask them how big is the object you have shown us, they will say, "I don't know." But it's taken by Curiosity rover. Okay, good. Let
Yeah.
me
In
take
other
you
words,
out.
you're jamming the social media
Yeah.
to make it
So
useless.
I stepped back from Curiosity or rover anomalies and anomaly hunting from that because I do not want to be associated with some of the people that blatantly and openly go out on social media and say, "Look, I found a Martian here, and I found this on this Curiosity
I'm
mission." Here you can see.
from what I've seen of a small clip going around at the moment with the rover there, and it's got I think it ends up where it's got damage to a couple of the wheels.
Yeah.
I don't see how that thing's getting the pictures it's getting, because I think those pictures are not taken by the rover itself. There's something else taking the pictures, because
It's
it would have a
complicated. No, I've seen how it's done, and I understand it, but I also understand that people that haven't seen the project can't understand how it's done. But it's basically when they take the rover picture of itself, it's composite images. That means that the rover arm has taken it from 100 different angles.
yes,
So every time I take one angle, it can cut itself out in the other picture. You see what I mean? And make it
yeah,
clear. But
okay.
it takes some time to understand the process. I have seen it, and I must admit, in the beginning, I also said, "Yeah, right, who's taking the pictures?" But yeah, I understand it now.
Okay, well, I had a not a good feeling about that, but if that's what they say they're doing, we'll have to take it.
Yeah, yeah.
Which means a considerable amount of the images are faked,
They
because
are
they have to cut.
digitalized.
Once you have to start cutting large sections of detail out, i.e., itself,
Then they are
everything
manipulated.
else might as well be
Yeah.
averaged
You
and
ask me, they should
replaced.
just show it as it is, but they choose to try to be perfect, which they're not, and you can only fail if you believe you're perfect.
Well, it means that they're using an awful lot of AI to rebuild a picture as they think it should be, which means nothing in those pictures will be of any value whatsoever, because which bit has been AI'd to show something which they want you to see.
Which is
It's
funny
useless.
you mentioned that because I saw one of my friends in the Astro Archaeology community make an experiment. I think it was a year or two ago, if not further back, maybe 3 years ago, where he used AI to describe a gigapan from Mars and rebuild the gigapan from what the AI saw with the data we provided it with Mars, planet Mars. And that's it. The AI built a city in the desert. It's true. It built houses and constructions and domes on the gigapan because that was what the AI could get out of the research it could do online.
Well,
It's
there must be something
that
else.
amazing.
There must be something else within those images which would make the AI
Yeah,
see that it must be
like
constructed, organized.
features in the ground that the AI continued off the line. You know what I mean? If you, the picture I have behind me, if you put that in and say complete this image, it would probably very likely put a roof over here. No, on this piece here. They would probably put a roof over there or and some light and something because the AI would say it's a house with no roof on. Let's restore it from new, and it would find something that
Well,
looked.
I think that's where Elena Danan's new color pictures of the aliens fall down on, in that they make the pictures, the faces of the aliens, far too human, because it doesn't have it's it's bias. It's just making all the aliens look human,
It's
unless they're insectoid or some bloody thing.
Yeah, but it's a sad thing when it comes to it that we can't trust anything, and that's also why I said I backed out of the
Well, exactly.
Curiosity rover images, because people are adding to it, and you're gonna be put in a group of people that you don't want to be in. So I'm doing my satellite images, and even though I know that the satellite images are manipulated, and I can prove it also easily, uh, um, they are still the only pictures that I rely on, because
Well,
I found so far.
logically, Thomas, if there's a mathematical formula or procedure to create out of what its mathematics says to give that fake image, you should be able to logically deconstruct that and back to what it was.
Yeah, you should. You should. AI is don't underestimate AI. I did a test the other day, and I made the documentary What If back in 2017. And it's not been viewed very much. It has a total at about 1 million views from 17 until now, so it's not been viewed a lot. Anyway, I typed in "describe what if" by Thomas Mikey Jensen. And if you want to see what it wrote, read the article I posted on my Facebook profile from or via spacelinkTV.org, and you will see an article that's basically describing in details, including names of the people involved in it and what they are doing and what the video, movie or documentary is about. I was like, and I couldn't have done that myself. That's for sure. So there's
Well,
good
actually,
AI
I want to take all the basis material and shove it through an AI writer, and it'll see what it comes out with.
Yeah, yeah. I must admit I have used AI when I'm writing on blogs on Spacelink TV. And it's fun to see sometimes when it comes up with when you give it a few
But you've got to give it some guidance somewhere.
give it some guidance, you give it some leads. You write, yeah, for example, if I write about Mars, I write in you can see behind me here, whoop, there was the numbers. I could write that one in, and the AI will write, even though I just wrote P009166, the AI would write. And the image is from the PSP, and it will mention the first 6 numbers, and it will even mention the last 4 that ain't even on the picture, and what day it's taken, and it will sit and read up from the description on that PSP image data sheet. That's
It would extract that from its metadata.
Yeah, but NASA's data is all public data, so the AI got straight access to everything that pops up the only thing it needs to know is that the picture we are looking at is from Mars. The ID number is there, so it's already know it's an ID number, so it compares with other IDs number and finds the one that fits the best and says this gotta be it.
Yes,
And
but
then
if all the published other pictures are fake or they're errors or they've all had the blue sky taken out, will it be able to tell the difference?
I think it would. I think it would be able to tell however it's fake or real. Somehow, some way, because everything leaves a digital print. Manipulation does too. Some people are good, really good at hiding it, but everything leaves a digital print today. So I think the AI can crawl underneath the skin of our metadata and dig up basically whatever it needs to know. It's impressive, but it's also scaring.
Okay. Thank you very much, Thomas, for your part one. You're introducing us to this amazing subject.
Yeah,
And you're sticking to, as close as you can, the real deal.
always, always. The truth is the only thing.
And you have produced a brilliant presentation at Basis 2024 summer seminars, and
So,
you will have presented an even better presentation at Bases 2024 Christmas seminars, and that's held in December. So we'll be seeing you in person in a few weeks.
That sounds good, Miles. I'll see you there.
Excellent. Right.